Ukraine Crisis Media Center. And now the floor is given to Ministry of Defense of Ukraine spokesperson on HO-related issues, Colonel Andriy Lysenko. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Now the information about the events that happened in the ATO zone during the last 24 hours and about course of training of Ukrainian armed forces. The Lugansk sector, yesterday military actions were in Stanitsa, Lugansk region and also in Krymsky village. The majority of shellings, except one, happened after 6 p.m. The only mortar shelling was mortar shelling, and it was in Krymsky, lasted for 20 minutes. And the enemy launched 20 mines. And after this, the enemy didn't use heavy weapons. And in Popasnyansky region, it was calm yesterday. During the last 24 hours in this Lugansk sector, there were 6 enemy shellings recorded. The Donetsk sector in Novolugansk, before dawn, the enemy delivered shelling with the use of mortars. And the enemy launched about 3 tons of mines, and several of them hit agricultural enterprise. In the afternoon, the situation deteriorated near Avdiivka. The enemy delivered fire with the use of mortars, and the shelling lasted for an hour. And in the evening, the enemy continued mortar shelling. According to the information provided by JCCC, 3 local residents were wounded by fragments of a shell that exploded near a public transport station. And the casualties were timely hospitalized, and medical help was provided to them. And one more explosion was near a residential building, resident building, and mortar shelling lasted for 3 hours without interruptions. And the enemy started multi-hour battle near Kamienka and Shakhta-Butivka in order to disperse the attention of Ukrainian servicemen, but Ukrainian servicemen succeeded. And several armed provocations were near Zaitsevo, Pliske, and Vilske. On the whole, during the last 24 hours in the Donetsk sector, there were 14 enemy shellings. The Mariupol sector, yesterday, the day started with a serious deterioration near Novotroitsk. During 100 minutes, the enemy delivered fire with the use of cannons, mortars, and small arms. Ukrainian forces returned fire. This time, the enemy delivered artillery shelling of Riga region, located 12 kilometers to the south, near Volnovakha. And the firing was delivered from howitzers of 152 mm of caliber. In the evening, near Novotroitsk, there was one more mortar shelling delivered by the enemy. And amid the day, there were enemy provocations with the use of small arms in Bogdanovka. And several months ago, there was disengagement of forces and means. As previously in Mariinsky region, it is tense, and also the same situation in Pavlopil and Shirokina part of front line. And the enemy used heavy weapons rarely, but enemy snipers were active. On the whole, during the last 24 hours in the Mariupol sector, there were 24 enemy shellings. During the last 24 hours, in the result of the military actions, 1 Ukrainian serviceman was killed, 5 servicemen were wounded. And until yesterday, we didn't have any irreversible losses since 11 of May. And our hearts go out to the relatives and families of fallen soldier. And he was a saper, and he blew up on an explosive device while on duty. And Slavyansky town court sentenced informer of the illegal organization that is called Ministry of State Security of DP up to 3.5 years in prison.
The law enforcement officers established that the resident of Slavyansk district during June-September 2015 collected information about troops and machinery of Ukrainian armed forces and transferred this information to the militants. Another former militant returned to his parents thanks to the Security Service of Ukraine program They Wait for You at Home. It was established, and in October 2014 the resident of Donetsk joined the ranks of Russian occupational forces, where he worked mostly as a driver. During the short period of stay in the ranks of the military formations, he became disabled. He lost 2 fingers on the left hand and also a jaw trauma. After that, the man decided to correct his mistake and returned to the territory controlled by Ukrainian government. Ukrainian law enforcement officers helped him to do so. In the ATO area, the trainings and contest was conducted among communications personnel. 7 highly professional teams competed in deployment of satellite stations, establishment of failure-free communications, transmission of coded information from the platform located on unfamiliar site. The other assignment was to install the network of portable radio station. The contest among military snipers have been held recently. The tests were carried out in daytime and nighttime. The snipers fired from the distances of 100 to 700 meters with the use of various system sniper rifles. The 40th Brigade of Tactical Air Force carried out tactical flight training. The goal of this event was to train pilots in covering important state facilities from air attacks. During the training, the pilots and other troops studied interception of air targets. They trained in air flights against strike aircrafts, aerial spies, and fighter aircrafts. We should note that this event first saw the pilot graduates of 2016. At the same time, in Kherson region, practical training for artillery units took place. The event was contained several stages: the march of units, geodesical trainings, and firing and management of fire. Thank you. That's all for today.